Welcome to Thoughts from the Basement. My name is Sam Gesh, as you probably know already. Today we're talking about culture and race, or culture and ethnicity. It's one that, if you know me at all, you've heard me talk about this before, and you may even want to skip this video if you've heard me talk about it before and be like, well, I don't know, I've heard all this before anyway, he's just going off again. So, either way, welcome to the talk. This may have to happen in a couple installments, as it could take a little bit longer than the usual presentation. So what started this time is that I recently saw a video about a guy named White Yardie. He lives in London, he's apparently a comedian, and he identifies as Jamaican. So what I saw first was a British television show in which several black Britishers were interviewing him about why he considered himself to be Jamaican. Now, he is of white skin color. He was raised in Jamaica, born in England, but at 3 months he moved to Jamaica with his mom and grew up in Jamaica. His speech is Jamaican. It's got that Jamaican patois accent, and he considers himself Jamaican. The black Britishers who were interviewing him were questioning that, since he is also white-skinned, and whether or not he really is Jamaican. That gave rise, once again, to the question that I have addressed numerous times in my life, sometimes on an interpersonal level with people individually, sometimes in front of a classroom, and that is your skin color connected to your culture? Is your skin color connected to your culture? I will say no, and we'll deal with a couple things. First, we'll deal with if a color equals a culture. Secondly, we'll deal with my own situation and those of others like me, third culture kids. So let's start with the supposed correspondence between color and culture. So we talk about black culture and we talk about white culture, and we sort of know what that means. We throw the words or terms around a lot. But is that really accurate, and is there a better way to talk about it? Well, if we look at, let's just start with white culture, because I'm pale-skinned, and so we'll start there. Is there white culture? Not really. If we try to take all of the Caucasian pale-colored people in the world and say they all share one culture, that is inaccurate. There is, among those of us who are pale-skinned Caucasians, French, German, Dutch, Polish, Ukrainian, Bulgarian, Hungarian, Norwegian, Swedish, Danish, Flemish, Scot, Irish, English, Welsh. There's a whole wide variety of pale-skinned Teutonic or Celtic people who have a variety of cultures. Now, while there may be similarities between their cultures, the cultures are not the same. And so to say white culture is, at the very least, a misnomer. Now, sometimes we talk about white culture and we say, well, it's just assumed we know we're talking about white culture within the States or within the UK or whatever. We still have a wide variety. Yes, Euro-American culture is large, it is dominant, it has been that way for several hundred years, and there are things that we share in common. But there are still variations between Italian Americans, German Americans, Dutch Americans, Polish Americans, French Americans, etc. Besides that, there are regional differences that are cultural or subcultural that keep us separated, white from white in some ways. For more on that, please read the book, The 11 Nations of North America. Fabulous book. Moving on to black, though, if we say, like we say with white, that there is a black culture, we also then need to look at all the black people in the world. That includes numerous cultures in Africa that are different from each other. It also includes the peoples from Melanesia, New Guinea, Vanuatu, Solomon Islands, and others, where people also have dark skin color and that we would generally consider to be black. Their cultures are different than the African cultures, which are different from each other, which are also different from those the descendants of those black African peoples who came over to the Americas, and who may be different culturally. For example, a black Brazilian from a black Canadian. So to say black culture also really oversimplifies the whole deal. Really puts a whole bunch of people in one group based on a skin color or physical characteristics, and doesn't really get into the idea that there really are a whole bunch of black cultures. There really are a whole bunch of white cultures. We'll pause it now and go to part 2.